If I were to recommend BL anime to someone who is of the LGBTQ+ community and isn't exactly comfortable with the tropes and the somewhat troubling depictions of MLM relationships commonly seen in the genre, my go-tos for them would be Gyokusei, Given, and in more recent times, Umebe no Estranger. But those are the recommendations I always give, and that would be so boring if I were to repeat again. Seriously, I do not want to be seen as a broken record when it comes to this genre. I'm not saying that BL series that commonly use these tropes are bad introductions per se. I mean, they're not entirely representative of what actual MLM relationships are supposed to look like, but if you can separate fiction from reality, you'll be able to find some enjoyment in these series, no doubt. But if I wanted to gently ease someone into the genre, I'm left with very few choices. I mean, that's certainly better than nothing, but I wish there were more of these out there in the genre. I mean, give me an MLM equivalent to a series like Kimi ni Todoke or Tsuki ga Kirei, cute, innocent, and wholesome romance anime about teenagers falling in love and having those feelings blossom into an adorable relationship. So when I discovered the anime Sasaki to Miyano, which on the surface seemed like it was exactly what I wanted, I thought that my calls were finally answered. But were they? Well, let's find out. When Miyano Yoshikazu, a closeted fudanshi, sees one of his classmates getting beat up by bullies, he wants to help him out. However, as he's reporting this crime, his high school senior Shumei Sasaki steps in and saves him. After this chance encounter, Sasaki finds out about Miyano's love of BL, where they begin a weekly tradition of Miyano lending Sasaki BL manga volumes. And as a result of these exchanges, Sasaki wants to spend as much time with Miyano as possible before he graduates. The one thing that struck me while watching Sasaki and Miyano is how aware it is of the tropes present in the BL genre. The level of acknowledgement of the genre range from name-dropping the seme and uke tropes to envisioning the kind of settings and scenarios that are prevalent in these stories. I guess that's par for the course for anime and manga that's deeply rooted in otaku culture, but to see that kind of stuff in BL anime and see it frequently talk about its characteristics so candidly, I didn't expect it to be so meta. And what's so great about it is that it doesn't come across as lampshading, but instead frames this in a way where it adds more depth to how the characters act and feel throughout the story. Speaking of the characters, I cannot stress how much I like our two titular leads. I love how, even though we expect Sasaki and Miyano to fit into the seme and uke roles respectively, the show challenges this position and doesn't restrict them to these boxes. While Sasaki's height towering over Miyano's diminutive frame suggests that he is the more dominant seme type of the two, he is well aware of that fact and tries his best not to overstep his boundaries when it comes to Miyano. On the contrary, while Miyano appears to be the timid and flustered uke, especially when his features are constantly denoted by the cast as more feminine, his self-consciousness regarding his appearance is delicately handled, to the point where Miyano tries to find solutions to not make this a burden for himself. I know that identity and self-discovery are common themes in BL, but they resonate so deeply here because they are handled so tenderly. Now, just because romance anime like the ones I mentioned are more low stakes in nature, doesn't mean that they're devoid of conflict. The conflict presented in these anime are delivered in increments, before each one of them builds on top of each other before resolving in a way that relieves the tension. Sasaki and Miyano delivers its conflicts meticulously through its slow burn pacing. Since the show establishes a solid foundation for why these two are made for each other, it makes us want them to be together even more, so when it takes its time to prove why that is the case, it's much more rewarding in the end. I'll admit the first few episodes may have been a bit too slow for my liking, to the point where it kinda dragged in places, but once it does pick up some steam, by the end it really was worth it. Overall, not only is Sasaki and Miyano a really good BL anime, it's also a really good romance anime altogether. Yes, it is a bit of a slow burn, but the central relationship at the heart of the series is so strong that its issues don't really matter that much in the long run. I had a great time while watching it, and I hope by highlighting some of its strengths, it can convince some other people, to those who have never seen a BL or have been turned away from it in the past, to give it a chance. I know this anime only aired 6 months ago at the time of recording this video, but I have no doubt in my mind that this will be viewed as a modern classic in the BL subgenre. And with either a second season or a film currently in development, I sincerely hope that it will continue to deliver the greatness that we saw in this first season. I've been IrishAnimeFan, I hope you all had a happy Pride Month, and until next time, Slán.